Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be with you this morning. I am Jenny Thomas. I'm a mama of four littles. I have twin boys that are 10 and then a 7 and 3-year-old daughter. And each one of my kids have such a unique, sweet, gifting needs. But I'm sure you've realized that with all of yours too. Each one is just so individual. As I've been raising my children alongside my husband Clay, we've overcome many obstacles and got to celebrate a ton of joys. However, we found that we needed a community. We need a community of people that come alongside us, that help us as we deal with the different milestones, celebrate the joys, and pray with us. And we today want to be your community because we know that need for a community. So, as I am talking today, I'm going to share just kind of a journey of raising kingdom kids. And then after that, we hop on a Zoom, and I want to invite you guys to hop on that Zoom and have that community, that one on one time where we can come together, celebrate the milestones and the joys, and also pray over you in the time of need. And so, guys, in our chat, you'll see a Zoom link. If you haven't signed up before, click on that Zoom link and it'll send you the link to hop on with us afterwards. If you've already signed up, you should automatically get that in the email and you just hop on once I get done sharing all about raising kingdom kids. And so, today, guys, as we are talking about raising kingdom kids, I want to talk about how do you teach your children to serve? How do you teach them to have that sweet servant heart? And the reason I want to talk about this is let me just tell you about a story with my kids. So last week, we have a ton of construction that's going on our street. They're working on rebuilding all of our sidewalks, our streets, that area to get the drainage right because we flooded during the hurricane and we weren't all hooked up properly like we were supposed to. So now, years later, they're coming through and fixing it. Well, the first night after they started tearing it up and pouring cement and doing all sorts of stuff, my kids said, "Hey, mom, can we go look at the different sites?" And it was just my twin boys, and they love like all that construction site. So to me, I didn't think much of it. And they went and got tons of stuff, and they came back and they're like, "Mom, look at all these nails that were there. Look at all this trash." And I really didn't think much of it. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a lot of nails. It's probably from tearing everything up," but didn't put it together. And then the second night, they invited their sister to go. And I said, "Well, how about if I go along with you guys?" I'm like, "Okay, mom, but it's really dirty work and you have to wear gloves." And in my mind, I'm going, were they digging and stuff? What were they exactly doing here? But what they were doing is they were going to every single site. And we have streets that come in and then it circles around. And then there's individual streets in the middle of it. They're going to every site and picking up all the nails because all of the nails would be left behind in like the little dirt area. They're picking up all the garbage and trash, orange peels, you name it, and cleaning it up. And I was like, "Guys, it is 114 out here. Aren't you hot? Aren't you tired?" And they're like, "Yeah, we are, mom, but we've got to do this." And I said, "Well, why are you doing this? What makes you want to do this?" And it was the sweetest thing. And they said, "Mom, we want to do this because those nails, eventually they come up in the grass and kids are going to get hurt. We don't want our friends to get hurt. And God gave us this stuff. And if we don't take care of it and we just allow trash, Mom, we watched them. They just had trash and they filled the cement over top of it. And if we don't take care of it, God can't keep blessing us with everything. And that trash just ruins it. And it doesn't make it pretty. And God made us this beautiful site and this beautiful area to play and be kids. So we have to take care of it." And I just thought, oh my gosh, what a servant's heart to be willing to go and clean up and do and serve in the middle of the heat index of 114. How awesome is that? And it made me just so thankful for the different gifts that we have, for the servant's heart that we've installed in our kids. And I got to thinking, you know what? What have we done as parents, as Clay and I, that developed that? How do we then pass this on to you guys? And to guide parents as they have younger children, they're bringing that up. And I thought about it and I was like, in First Peter 4:10, it talks about each of us have received gifts used to serve one another as good stewards of God's grace. And I have a big servant's heart. My husband does. We love to serve. That's part of the reason why we're probably in medicine. But many people have hearts to serve. And we have different giftings and ways that we serve. And I thought, how awesome is this that we can call that gifting up in our children? Because you know what? Then it says in Matthew 5:16, in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. As my children were picking up and doing this, we had a few neighbors, one in the back, an elderly lady, come out and say, thank you for doing that. I saw the trash, but it was too hot for me and I couldn't go and grab that trash. And she said, I was afraid that as I was taking my walker or I was helping my husband with his walker, if we were trying to pick that up, that we would fall and it's just too hot for us. Another mom on the side's like, oh my gosh, my kids would never do that. I can't believe you guys are out here doing this. Thank you. And they really thought, when she was talking to them, that they were just coming and exploring and investigating the concrete. So it was pretty awesome that, you know what? I was telling my kids, you let your light, the light that God put in you, shine, that they could see your good deeds and that they glorified God. My heart was full seeing my kids going out and serving, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. That they were caring about the yards, about the kids, and what God had given them. And Lucas said it best. He said, Mom, I do this because God gave us this great neighborhood, but we have to honor him by taking care of it. And he told me, he said, Mom, don't you remember in Acts 20 what it says? And I'll be honest, I didn't. I'm like, Acts 20, let me go read. I don't know. And so I had to go and read that evening. And he was reading Acts 20:35. In everything you do, in everything I did, I showed you that by this kind of hard work, we must help the weak. Remember the words the Lord Jesus said himself, it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. And he was telling me, it's such a blessing to be able to give others. And Mom, I have young legs and arms, and I have a good heart that I can go and do this. And I don't get tired and the heat doesn't bother me. And it's like, yeah, you're right. So as parents, it is so important that we teach them to serve. But how do we do that? I thought about it, and we model it as parents. We have to model it in the home. Service doesn't always come naturally for everybody. Some of them it does. So they have to watch and see our patterns of how we do it. But number one, it starts in the home. So how do we do that? We start by letting them work alongside of us. We serve as a family. We serve by folding laundry together, baking muffins, cleaning up the yard. We talk about it at our house. It's not just a job. It's a blessing that we get to offer. I use the phrase a lot of, you know what? I am so blessed that we have clothes and that I get to do laundry. Come help me. And we talk and we fold laundry. Or we talk about, it's a blessing that we get to have a dog. And that, we get to have a big yard that, yes, we have to mow and pull weeds and all of that, but we get to do it as a family. And we play music and just have fun with it. But it's an opportunity. We get this opportunity. So let them work alongside of you. Let them see that servant's heart, that giving heart, that being blessed. Number two, teach your children to notice what needs to be done. As parents, it's obvious. We look at the house and we're like, oh my gosh, there's toys everywhere. There's dirty dishes. There's, the shoes that are piling up that need to go and be put away. But you know what? You have to teach them to notice those things. You can say things of, hey, what do you think you could do to help get the house ready for this evening? Because in my house, they know we clean up everything in the evening before we go to bed. So I've used that phrase with my children. Or, they have a sibling that's ill or not feeling well. We teach them, you know what? How can we comfort them? What do they need? What do you think would make them feel better? A lot of times it's, hey, I'll go get them a toy, or let's get them some water, or, just various things. Maybe they do a snack. I'll make them a special snack. That's what Adeline does. She always wants to make them her special peanut butter snack, which is graham crackers and peanut butter. She thinks that heals anybody's headaches, stomach aches. I mean, you name it, she'll tell you it's her special treat that makes them all better. But you know what? You get them to notice it and say, what else do you think they need? That starts their mind to think, oh, someone's ill or they can't do this. What else can I do to help? Or, hey, yeah, it's bedtime. What do we need to do? Or when they go and get a glass of milk, hey, do you think your sister would want one? Rather than just taking care of themselves. So now you'll notice, hey guys, we're going to, let's get ready for supper. And one of them will start getting a drink and saying, hey, what do you guys want? I'm getting my drink. What can I get for you guys? It's teaching them to start thinking of, hey, how can I serve? What can I do? Or, this is what we did last night. Clay worked really late. And I said, hey, don't you think Daddy would really like it if the house was really clean when he got home? Wouldn't that be relaxing to him and relaxing in the morning so he can just sit and drink some coffee before he goes back in? So it's not one of those things of, oh, guys, we got to clean. Let's do this. It's a, hey, how would it make his heart feel? By teaching him this, it starts installing those first steps of service. Then let them enjoy. The third thing is, as we're teaching it through the house, let them enjoy helping out. Show them the rewards of it. Talk about, isn't it wonderful to be able to bless others by serving them like this? Encourage them to see that helping helps others, not only the right thing to do, but it's a joy, how much joy it brings to them. When we go and serve, we'll go and serve, especially at Christmas time, and we help and serve a family in need. And then we also have the giving tree where they get to pick a name and go and pick out whatever they want for them. And then we get to go and give it to that child, to that family, and to see the smiles and the joy. Like, it just warms your heart. And my children remember those things. And so it's rewarding to give. The other thing is instruct them how they can be a help to you. Train them to ask, hey, what can I do for you? Not wanting them to be told what to do, but rather actively looking for it. And now I notice the kids, hey, Mom, I went ahead and wiped the table. Or, hey, Mom, while you're cooking, I'll go ahead and clean the floors. They look for it. They see it. They know because we've trained them in the way they should go. And then cheer them on as they're serving. Take a moment to recognize those efforts. Just pause that time. No matter, maybe they didn't vacuum perfectly. Maybe they didn't sweep, but you know what? They went and did it. Or they cleaned up their own mess. It's that caring heart, and thank them for that. I cheer my kids all the time. With this recycling that they did, I was like, oh my gosh, thank you for going and picking up and recycling that stuff, for picking up those nails. I am so proud of you, and I love your heart. And do you know what? That's a huge blessing to others. And God sees you and how you're shining his light, and he'll bless you too. And it's funny because Addie says, Mom, he doesn't have to bless us for that. It was fun to do it. He's blessed us with being able to live in this neighborhood. And I thought, wow, what a grateful heart. And you know what? As you start installing that in the home, because guys, I'm going to tell you, parenting, installing these values starts in the home. So when you start by letting them work beside you, teaching them to notice things, helping them to see joy in it, and cheering them on, then it gets to expand. And it expands to your neighbors, especially the older generation. We have to take care of them and serve them. And you know what? That serving stems from the desire that God has already given us as a family to serve. And so we have an elderly lady that I work with that we get to take her suppers, and the kids find so much joy in making supper for her and dropping it at her house, or making their special chocolate chip cookies. We always invite her to come over for different things. She doesn't, but it's always the invitation out there. So that way, if she wants to, we would gladly serve her. But you know what? I got to see them serve an older generation. Last week, the boys had a haircut at Town Center, and so we went there. And there's a lady that's getting out of her car, and her husband was trying to help her, and she had this walker. And Sam says, Mom, look, she needs help. Can we go help her? I was like, absolutely. So Luke stayed with the girls, so then they weren't out on the street. And Sam and I walked over and said, can we help you? And that gentleman's eyes just got so big. Yes, please. They were getting ready to walk into the Marriott Hotel there in Town Center. And you know what? Sam and I just went along each side of her arms and just helped her stand up, get her balance, and then they could just go on inside and get out of the heat. But it's like those little moments that you get those glimpse of that servant's heart. And as I talked about earlier, it starts in the home, and then you get to go and serve homes of the needy. For us, it's Star of Hope, or the Operation Children, the Giving Tree, adopting a family. And they just start finding opportunities where they can serve. Addie, oh my gosh, she would give and serve to everybody in line behind us at Starbucks. Every time we go, she asked for it. But you know what? If your kids aren't old enough to have a job, they can still experience the joy of giving. the joy of giving to a neighbor. It's the midnight snack that we took over to our neighbor that made her day. It wasn't really midnight, it was really only 8 p.m., but those s'mores that we made. And we knew that she was having a bad day. She had posted it on Facebook, but just taking it over, dinging her doorbell, sending her a little message and having that there. She sent a message back of how much it just warmed her heart and how blessed she felt. And let me tell you, my kids had the biggest smile because they just knew how much her heart was filled. So teaching the value of service also teaches them how to understand those hearts and the need to give and serve one another. Because as we're serving them, we're loving. So as parents, seeing that joy brings so much joy. Seeing them serve brings so much joy to my heart that it's such a blessing. So I want to help you guys teach your kids how to serve and to have that servant's heart because it starts in the home. And you know what? As they serve, they're shining God's light and it feels so good. So, guys, let's continue talking about how we can teach our kids to serve and to serve well as parents. So, hop on the Zoom and let's continue this conversation of a servant's heart. I am going to put the Zoom link again in for anybody who hasn't logged on yet. All right, guys, you're going to see it here. And I'm going to post it right there. And I'm going to leave you with one thought. Samuel said to me, Mom, my life would be complete if I could always see those smiles that I saw at Christmas when I gave him a gift. Mom, I didn't give him much. I gave him a toothbrush. I gave him a toy and a new pair of clothes and a soccer ball. He said, but Mom, I think about that kid every day and his smile that he had when I gave him that. Guys, that is the joy of serving. And that's the core value that we want to install in our kids. So guys, let's hop on Zoom and continue this conversation. I'll see you on the backside.